Morning, morning. I have the difficult job of making sure that everyone is awake early in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but I will try to keep this as entertaining as I can. So let me tell you a few stories from experiences that I gathered as a photographer over the years. Recently, I started documenting climate change, and one question bugs me the most is, as a landscape photographer, do I document and photograph only the beautiful things? Or do I also show the horror that comes along with it? Because beauty and horror exist together. They are dichotomous, but they are also paradoxically complementary. This is the law of nature. Wherever you can find beauty, you can find horror. So that's the question that bugs me all the time. But first, let me tell you something that I suspect you already know. That is, and I hope there are no climate deniers in the room. The first time that you are convinced that climate change is real is not because you saw a singular image, but because you saw a series of images that convince you there is a pattern that is going on. There is a pattern that is going on. Pattern is evidence. I think that is epistemology in practice. What do you see in these photographs? Ice, yep. Do you start to see a pattern? It looks like cake, huh? It looks like ice cream cake. It's melting, right? It's melting. It forms a pattern. You see, the problem to photographers is that climate change happens so gradually over thousands of years. So not one photographer can do it. We need a few generations or hundreds of generations of photographers to prove that there's a pattern that is happening visually. It happens so gradually that we need a series of images to demonstrate the impact of human activities, the CO2 level melting the polar ice cap, and forms these visual trademarks. We have impacted the environment so much that I think right now scientists are debating that this is an epochal shift, that this is a distinct geological change. Or actually even worse, this could literally be a planetary collapse, but we hope we don't get there. So, evidence is not a singular image. Evidence is a pattern, as you can see from this video. I don't have to tell you what this video is about. It's very obvious that it is not a singular data point. It is a pattern that you can feel or check, and that is epistemology in practice. Look at the cracks. Look at how thin the ice is. In the past, we wouldn't be able to ride a boat through this place, but right now it has become so thin that you can get a boat through it. So, as a photographer, do I chase the beauty? I come back to this question. Do I chase the beauty, or do I also review the horrifying story behind what I found, the evidence? I'm going to show you two different places that I photographed recently. On the left is a methane lake from a hydropower plant. On the right is a blue flame volcano. Both have beauty and also horror. So earlier this year, and by the way, I hope no one been here before, so you don't disclose where this place is because I cannot say in live recording. I chased this place down to a hydropower plant somewhere up north. And I was hoping to find beauty, but instead I found methane. Methane, for those of you unbeknownst to many of you also, is that hydropower plant is supposed to be climate friendly. It's supposed to be low emission or even zero emission. But paradoxically, it can create a lot of methane gases because of decomposing organic materials from the artificial man-made lake. So methane is a very potent CO2, very potent greenhouse gas, way more potent than CO2. In fact, about 80 times worse than CO2 for the warming potential in the atmosphere over a 20-year period. This is very bad. So photographing this methane lake made me realize that beauty can be terrifying at the same time. And I wonder which story do I tell. I went there all the way trying to find beauty. I found it, but also found horrors along with it. So which story do I tell? Okay, give you a quick photography tip since I'm a photographer. So those of you who want to photograph anything frozen, here's a pro tip. bring hot water. Why? Look at this video. So imagine you're trekking, in the middle of the dead winter. It's cold, it's frozen, it's still snowing, and then you go there to realize that what you want to capture is frozen. You pour hot water over it, everything will appear for you. And I think this is a very nice metaphor for epistemology. Okay, so hear me out. To see the structure, you need to lower the noise to reveal the signal. To see the structure, you lower the noise to reveal the signal. I think that is epistemology in practice. Let me show you, bring you to a second place that I photographed last year, a blue flame volcano, actually quite near to Singapore. It's blue flames because the combustion of sulfuric gases. So they burn the sulfur gas that emits from the volcano, and then the sulfur gas will condense, cool down into molten sulfur, and therefore releases the blue flame colors. And then they will mine the molten sulfur, the yellow rocks, the sulfur rocks. So very, very beautiful, right? Beautiful. Beautiful fire and a beautiful place, beautiful photographs. But something is very terrifying in this image, or rather, something is very terrifying in this place. Any guesses? What scares me a lot when I was there? This. Tourists. a lot of tourists. They're doing this, This is a very, very dangerous place, extreme condition. Tourists were... You look at the smoke. This is about, I think, pH value about 2. The water, the acidic lake there is about pH value 0. If you fall into the lake, you will decompose within 30 minutes. Very dangerous place, but tourists flock there all the time. And a gust of wind can just blow the toxic fumes towards you within a matter of seconds. And I think a few years ago, 27 people got hospitalized. In fact, people die there all the time, almost every, I cannot say how many times, but you can find out in the news. Very dangerous place, but actually it's supposed to be a mine where miners work there. So the blue flames, the electric blue flames that you see is caused by a process called electronic excitation. At this rate, the flames burn to about 600 degrees Celsius. So really, really very extreme place. And what disturbs me the most is that a lot of influencers flock there, for their TikTok videos, for their Instagram. I don't get it. The worst thing is that they pay huge sum of monies to the miners to carry them up, literally carry them up in what they call Lamborghinis, carry them up to the volcanoes for their money shot. And this is actually very unethical, if you ask me. It takes a few hours, Herculean task, back-breaking energy to carry people, a human being, up just so that they can post their TikTok videos. This not only is unethical, but it also disrupts the local economy, and I think it overshadows the grim realities of that place. But that being said, of course, there are very ethical and very responsible tourists, visitors, maybe there for scientific or educational purpose. Maybe you can ask your teachers to bring you there one day. I will tell you off-screen where that place is. You can go and study geology there, I think they're looking for sulfuric rocks over here. So I was told that this can be very grim and very dark, so I will pepper my talk with a little bit of light-hearted stuff. Let me show you my cats. So before the trip to the volcano, so I own a few cats. Every time before I leave the country, I will pack my luggage. Every time you bring your luggage, the stupid cats, they always go into your luggages. I don't know why. Either they are possessive, or they know, oh, Papa is leaving. Don't let him go away. So they were, then I cannot pack my equipment. So I have to shh, go away. Put my camera in, put my clothes in. So they're very, very sticky. They're very clingy. Before the trip, before I went to the volcano, and then something very funny happened. When I came back from the volcano, my cats ignored me. They didn't want to even look at me. This is what she did. Yeah, totally just ignored me. So I was wondering, why? So I went to Google, and I realized it's because after I went to that volcano, my whole body and my clothes, everything reeks of sulfur smells. And cats really, really hate sulfur. So moral of the story is, if you have cats, maybe you don't go to a volcano. They will stop talking to you for 1 week. So blue flames, very beautiful, but also terrifying. And once again, I posit that question to you again. As a climate photographer, do I only show the beautiful part, or do I show the horrifying part? This is my answer. We need to show both. We need to show both. Because my frustration is not that people are ambivalent. My frustration is that we tend to only show people a singular moment or a single image, and we expect them to be convinced that climate change is real, when you yourself know that you need to see a pattern of images. You need to experience, you need to feel both the good and the bad, the fire and the ice, in order to form a relationship with Mother Nature or the landscape. And then you will be convinced, not because I convinced you, but because you have invested so much, you know so much, that you become a part of that place, and a part of that place becomes a part of you. And I think this is, once again, epistemology. And very often people ask me, why do I venture so far up north or to extreme places? And I cannot really very succinctly tell them why. But I think this quote by Sir David Attenborough sums it up very well, that nobody will protect what they don't care about, and nobody will care about what they have never experienced. So the best way to care is to experience. So what is my role as an artist? I put it to you that I think in summary, my role as an artist is to escort the facts across the threshold of feelings, to pass that barrier to get through to my audience. We do that by turning your attention to affection or attachment, by turning pictures into patterns, and then hopefully, once we form enough pattern and evidence, the pattern will turn into care. I leave you with this video, which I hope will inspire you. So get out of your chair and go experience the world. Thank you very much.